He's the man, he's the myth, he's the legend, he's the scientist with all the answers and all the questions. It's time for another episode of Alex's Science Corner.
Thank you.
What's going on in the wide world of science, my friend?
Well, with the holidays being what they are, not a lot is going on normally, but on January 1st at 12:30 in the morning, the New Horizons probe is going to make its closest approach to one of the farthest objects we've ever sent a probe to. And, of course, I wrote it down, and can I frickin' find it? Yes, the planet's name is Ultima Thule. It's one of the objects it's a dwarf planet in the Kuiper Belt. It's way past Pluto. Now, the New Horizons probe was the probe that 3 years ago passed by Pluto and did all those pictures. It was originally launched in January 19th of 2006. And in 2015, it passed by Pluto. And when they sent it out past Pluto, they're hoping to find something else for it to pass by as it went out into the Kuiper Belt. The problem is that when it was passing Pluto, they didn't know what the next object was going to be. And so they're doing a furious search out in that direction to see if there's anything worth
photographing.
Well, anything out there that they
it.
could photograph.
Yeah.
Not just was it worth it, they couldn't even find anything out in that direction. Ironically enough, all the telescopes that they had searching, none of them found anything. It was the Hubble Space Telescope, which was doing a search for something completely different that happened to be looking at that direction, that found this dwarf planet Ultima Thule. And so they were very lucky, and they're able to redirect the spacecraft a little bit, and it's going to make its closest approach New Year's Eve at 12:30.
Boy, New Year.
Yeah, and so now...
New Year's Eve at 12:30 or New Year's Day?
New Year's Day.
12.
January 1st, 12:30 a.m. Yes.
Okay, because you said New Year's Eve, and I was...
Well, I mean, if you're up New Year's Eve night, now the thing is, we're not going to hear anything about it per se, because it's going to take 6 hours and 10 minutes or so for the radio data to get to the Earth. The first bit of data that they're going to start collecting, it's going to take a few hours to process it. It's actually going to take longer than that, because the satellite, as it's passing, it is going to be going really, really fast. And so to take the pictures, it's going to be rotating itself around the object or facing the object. And it's after it's finished taking the pictures that it can face back towards Earth again to start transmitting the data.
Okay.
So it'll be a few hours.
What's the time frame for that whole process before it starts transmitting? It's a couple hours.
They're figuring it's going to be like about... They're figuring that they're going to start receiving data about 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And the first usable data will be sometime after noontime.
Oh,
that they're going to start collecting. That they're going to start getting something. And they're going to send a few pictures real fast.
No day off for NASA.
No, but I'm sure the people who are going to be operating the staff are not going to be complaining about it, because this is going to be some
historic.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
So for them, we've got... like I said, it's going to be a few hours. They're probably going to send a few pictures first just so that they can make sure that everything looked fine. And then the next set of data that's going to come in is the data from all the other instruments. And then after that, they will start transmitting the very high-resolution pictures back. The reason is because the other data, other than just the pictures, is actually the more important stuff for the astronomers. And the first few pictures are to just make sure everything is going good. After they've collected all the data, then they're going to be sending the high-resolution pictures, because that's going to be the highest amount. That's going to be the worst data draw. That's going to take a lot of the time to transmit. And so save that for after everything else is done. They'll start sending the high-resolution pictures. Okay. So that could actually take weeks for them to get all that data.
Now, is this the satellite that started the controversy, or was it prior to that, about Pluto being a planet and not being a planet?
No, this was not. This satellite, this probe had nothing to do with that controversy.
Okay.
That controversy was the Astronomical Union, which is the body that names objects in in the solar system and outside the solar system. They were trying to decide what is going to be the transition point from asteroid to planet. The way they defined, there's a couple of different definitions that were coming up. One definition made Pluto a planet, but then we would have like 14 or 15 planets in the solar system.
That were additional.
Right. So we would have, because between the two different conventions, it was going to be either 8 or like 15. And if they did the smaller way, they know they're going to find more stuff because Pluto is actually very, very small. It's in the Kuiper Belt. And then if they kept the definition that kept Pluto as a planet instead of a dwarf planet, you're going to, anything you find out in the Kuiper Belt would become a planet. And we know there's a lot of stuff out there. And as we find more stuff, then you can get like 20 planets in the solar system or 25.
Got it.
So they kind of went with the rule of that made Pluto a dwarf planet. So a lot of people were ticked off about that, but there's a lot of social reasons and not. It's right now one of those fuzzy areas, which is why it's so tough to define. Because the transition from asteroid to dwarf planet is tough. Right now, Ceres, before we made Pluto a dwarf planet, was considered an asteroid. Now it is a dwarf planet. And Pluto was a planet, now it's a dwarf planet. And like I had mentioned once before, there are 4 moons in the solar system that are larger, including our moon is larger than Pluto.
Okay.
It's one of those things of trying to define stuff in that gray area and set that line. That's where that debate about whether Pluto is or is not a planet.
Got it. Sounds like New Year's Day is going to be a lot of fun for anybody who's
For
an
a lot of
astronomer.
yeah.
Okay.
But you don't have to, it's not like you have to stay up. Just sometime afternoon time, they're going to start getting some of the data and start doing the news conferences.
And this
for
this
NASA.
isn't something we can see with a telescope down here.
Pluto? No.
No, the after, the
They'll probably eventually put the pictures up on.
Oh, yeah,
online, but
yeah.
it might
yeah,
be a
but
little
but nobody could take it at 12:30 and
No.
look out and see.
No.
don't think so.
No. I mean,
Hey, did you get that link about I sent to you about Voyager 2 being hacked?
Yeah, I saw
What?
that, but the website, when I pulled up the website, it had different news articles on that page. So I'd have to take a look at that
Okay.
again.
It was hacked. How does somebody hack a satellite?
It's a good question. That's a very good question.
And why would you hack
Was
it?
it-
Why? Yeah, and why would you?
That's another good question.
And that's what the
I
article
blame the
was
Russian. I blame the Russians or the Chinese, man.
Some pipple-faced kid in the Midwest.
Maybe that could be a story for next week's Science Corner. I don't
Sounds
know.
like a good
It's up to
idea.
Alex.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to add to that story?
I got nothing. Do you guys
No.
got
No.
any more questions about Pluto or the Kuiper Belt?
No. Or anybody out there in Radio Land want to ask Alex about Pluto or the Kuiper Belt, or argue whether it's a planet or not?
Well, it's. I'm not arguing
It's going to
about
screw
that
up a lot of grade school kids if
It
they take
is.
it away.
Yeah, because they're
or add more.
You it's been like about 20 years, 10 years already since that happened. 15 years already.
What was the?
Oh, it was, okay.
What was that thing you would use to memorize all the
all
planets? I'm
good.
trying to
Yeah, all good boys deserve fun. No.
Fudge?
No.
No.
That's
No, it's
music.
starting with
That's
Mercury.
music. That's music.
It starts with M because Mercury is the first
Do you
one.
know
but
what
I
it
don't
is?
remember what it is.
Okay.
Because I happen to remember the planets. I don't need the mnemonic.
Okay. All right. All right, give us a
But that's
call, and you can answer that question as well if you wish, because we don't know. Number here is 203
837
99.
24.